Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
And the aliens would mind meld and give them the technology. They're bad aliens. So are you surprised the Nazis were influenced by demons?
No, if demons are real, I would definitely think they'd be on the side of the Nazis.
Yeah.
McDonald's is connected to the Clintons. They chop up the bodies and put them into the sausage and hamburgers. People are being cannibalized. Look it up.
And I'm watching CNN talk about this as violent white nationalist protests. We have done everything in our power to keep this peaceful, you know?
It's Pepe's become kind of a symbol.
Welcome to Yeah Nah Pasaran, a show about fascism and its gravediggers. I'm Cam Smith.
I'm Andy Fleming.
Andy, it's just us today.
What's gone wrong, Cam? Have we exhausted all our, have we made our way down the list and arrived at zero?
No, we have got some great guests coming up.
Do we? Oh, okay. All right. So what are we going to do this half hour then?
Well, unfortunately, the listeners are stuck with just us.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. What are we going to talk about then, Cam?
Well,
do we have any ideas?
I did ask the listeners 4 questions, and so that sort of puts all of the responsibility for the quality of this program onto them.
Oh, excellent. Smart, Cam, smart. What's the first question? Or do you have a question?
Question number 1, Andy. What do you think about the co-opting of and attacks on labour unions, both here, there and everywhere, and the agitators and motivations behind it?
What do I think about it?
Yeah, what do you reckon?
I reckon capital should stop.
Mm-hmm.
Knock it on the head. But no, I think it's, I think about the essential and driving dynamic of any capitalist society, which is the contradiction between capital and labour, and insofar as unions have been formed and served to defend the interests of labour, they're a good thing, but otherwise this is a central dynamic, and the only means by which that dynamic can be suppressed is through the overthrow of capitalist society. I mean, attacks upon unions are constant. I mean, and it makes perfect sense why that would be the case. I suppose if there's a positive kind of element to it is if unions are under attack, then they're probably doing a reasonable job, You don't want unions not to be under attack, because if they're not under attack, then they pose no threat, and that's no good. So, but yeah, of course, there's better and worse unions. I think, in contemporary Australia, the union movement and the labour movement generally is at a historically low ebb in terms of, across by any measure. So I doubt that's going to last. I don't see how it could,
You wrote a thing for Overland the other day that was, well, maybe not universally well received. I thought quite well received.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the thing that happened in Italy earlier in the week?
No, what happened in Italy earlier in the week, Cam?
I think it was in Rome. It was basically a carbon copy of the attack on the CFMEU, just during an anti-lockdown, anti-vaccine mandate protest. Right. Fascists took the opportunity.
Yeah. Well, again, insofar as unions are understood to and have assumed the role of protecting the interests of their members and the, broader social interests, they're going to come under attack. But, I think there are certainly militant unions in Italy and more radical ones, and they seem to be relatively more popular than Australia. By the same token, you have stronger fascist and right-wing groups and movements and so on over there as well. So, I think it's, insofar as the kind of anti-lockdown sentiment or forms of, I think public health measures work best, obviously, when they have popular support, and when people are convinced that these are, legitimate exercises in public authority, and that comes under attack for a whole range of different reasons. I think the most pernicious forms of attack are those which are being mounted by and undertaken in the pursuit of commercial interests which override public health interests. And I think, I'm thinking more about, I guess, the recent example in Melbourne and Australia is it's disheartening to the extent that it expresses the privileging of the interests of the young and the able-bodied and those without chronic health conditions over and above and against those of the elderly and people in, whose health is precarious for one reason or another. And I think it's incumbent upon workers and unions to do what they should do and extend solidarity and care for people who are vulnerable. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's real class solidarity.
The anti-vax and anti-lockdown sort of movements have been, I guess, relatively unchallenged on the streets up until this point for obvious reasons if there's a virus about. Do you think that the left
have made some energetic efforts?
Well, unchallenged by the left, perhaps,
right?
Just by our comrades in the police union. Do you think the left should begin to intervene in these things
on the streets? Well, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not convinced that's a good idea, and it's not because there's, for the same reasons that any kind of large public assembly under these conditions is inadvisable. I mean, that may change, I guess, or the medical calculation or the health calculus changes insofar as the more people who are vaccinated, the less risk there is associated with public assemblages of one sort or another. I don't know, because I think it depends on what you understand motivates people to join these sorts of things and the means by which you can, if you want to, reach them. Is it, to the extent that it's possible to engage in some kind of rational conversation, to the extent that, I mean, if these kinds of rallies are, targeting union officers or other kind of public institutions that shouldn't be attacked and are worthy of defence, then serious consideration needs to be given to that. Insofar as they're, I don't know. I mean, I'm not convinced, but yeah, I remain open to the idea. I just think it presents a whole series of difficulties which have to be really carefully thought through. But certainly, to the extent that the conditions change, I guess it becomes more possible to do so in a way that doesn't endanger public health or the health of those participating, and under those circumstances, yeah, maybe.
There we have it. A little bit of cautious hesitation from the king of Melbourne Antifa.
Okay.
Got a question that I think is going to be for me. No idea how you gather the data on this or the data, but I've been wondering how much of the activity on the anti-lockdown Telegram channels is authentic and how much is from agent provocateurs.
That's a good question, and one you should answer, Cam. And who are these provocateurs and what are they trying to provoke? That's one thing that I think of.
Well, I think, it probably is quite tricky to gather the data on it. The problem with these Telegram channels and chats is that the stream of information is just so constant that you can have an agent provocateur in the mix and it will just sort of get swept up in the wave of content and misinformation. But you definitely can sometimes spot them, especially if you could see them sort of hanging out in other areas of Telegram and talking about what they're going to do. But yeah, no idea how to spot them en masse.
Is a provocateur different to a troll?
I think...
Because provocateurs, I assume, have particular intent. They want to get people to do something. Very particular.
I think that maybe what we're thinking about is like people trying to pill someone in one direction or another.
Yeah. And
recruit them to a particular cause. And you do see a bit of that, but I think it's very hard to say how much of it is authentic. And let's take the example of someone who's trying to pill someone into anti-Semitism. I don't think it hugely matters if there's like somebody making a concerted effort to get people to blame Jews for things if nobody else in the chat or the channel is pushing back on it. If the idea is just has 100% acceptance from that group, it doesn't really matter that the person who is pushing it is doing it inauthentically. It has the same effect as someone doing it authentically, but you really do need that milieu to be saying, hang on a second, this isn't on, and that's not happening. if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question here also for me.
Okay, I could ask it.
You could ask it. Go ahead then.
Cam, the question is, what's the question?
The Zodiac one.
All right. Cam, I read recently there were some revelations about the Zodiac Killer, and a claim was made about finally them being identified, but it seems like they've joined, there's half a dozen names that have been, raised in this connection. What's your opinion?
Well, my opinion, not that this is a non-fiction criminology podcast, if there's a word for that, but my opinion is that the person who was recently named as the Zodiac Killer is not the Zodiac Killer.
Dun, dun, dun. Why not?
Well, one of the key pieces of evidence is that his facial scars match the police sketch of the Zodiac Killer, which was taken of someone who saw them out a window in the dark on the street. And also the police sketch artist had just made up the wrinkles on their forehead because they thought they needed to fill out the picture a little bit.
Right.
So there is a striking resemblance between photographs of this person and a drawing that was just made up, which is perhaps not the greatest evidence.
Okay.
But yeah, the actual question verbatim was why are there 5 different guys who, on the available evidence, are all clearly the Zodiac? And I think that's because in the late 60s in California, there were no shortage of weird, violent men who liked creepy stuff.
Yes, and one of them went on to great success.
Indeed. Well, I know your thoughts on the Zodiac Killer case. You have a different suspect in mind.
Yes, Senor Edward Cross. May or may not be the killer. I don't know, Cam. I would not say so. I wouldn't say so in public. I'd be subject to all sorts of legal threats, I imagine. Although, hasn't he made fun of that?
He has. He's made some jokes about it, which is exactly what the Zodiac Killer would do.
Exactly. Laughing in our faces.
Andy, I think it might be time for a long-distance dedication.
Oh, okay, Cam. Who are we dedicating this to?
This one's going out to Sina in Aotearoa.
Por un
That was the band Algara with their track Hedonistas from their new album, Absortos en el Tiedo Eterno.
There you go. Now, Andy, I have another question for you.
Oh, okay, Cam. Yep. Hit me.
How do you see recent groups like the National Socialist Network in the context of historical Nazi groups in Melbourne and across this continent of ours in the 90s?
As compared to the 90s?
Mm.
Well, it's been a while, I guess. Probably, I'd say that you'd probably have to go back to the 1970s, really. 1960s, 1970s to find a group that was openly espousing neo-Nazism. So you had National Action in the 1980s and 1990s, and they were neo-Nazi-esque and were neo-Nazi, but publicly they were not. They claimed to be mere, nationalists. NSN, National Socialist Network, as opposed to National Action. They're, explicit. So in that sense, they're relatively, it's been a long time, and also youthful, relatively large, and I guess also, as I think I've said or written, they represent a kind of the logical culmination of a number of years' efforts by the key members, and I guess it could be read as being slightly concerning in the sense that they now feel like that they can, rip off their mask and be openly Nazi. But I do think that I suppose one of the dangers associated with the exposés and, the legal and other difficulties that some of the members are experiencing is for the more, fanatical, there's a risk that they may want to not just go underground, but seek to vindicate their cause through some kind of outrage or other. So, and also I think it's interesting in that they're still, relatively, very weak in the sense that they're haven't been able to, and under the present circumstances, we find it very difficult to mount any kind of public presence. So maybe a flash rally here or there, but most of their activity has been, semi-clandestine and also principally propagandistic, so aimed at generating content for, the teeny boppers who follow them, and maybe some older gentlemen as well. So it has a different perspective and a different kind of aim, I suppose, which is also different to previous articulations. And it would be very difficult for them to mount any kind of public procession or anything of that sort because they are Nazis, and those doctrines remain regarded by the great majority as being abhorrent, and they'd only be able to do so with police protection, and I don't think there'd be much sense in them doing that. So, those are my initial thoughts. What do you think, Ken?
I think they're very silly billies. Andy, we were originally going to be speaking to you, a historian, today. So this is just a question I've stolen from that interview.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What are your thoughts on history from below? Why do you think we need to know our history, not just focus on the glory of international struggles?
Not just the glory of international struggles.
Mm.
Well, if you're going to do history, then, history from below is, the most interesting, the most revealing, the most useful. And I suppose that's, can be defined in different ways, but I guess those histories which document resistance and resisting subjects, did I say? Yeah. And seek to analyse and excavate, I suppose, the stories that have been suppressed or that illuminate the experience for those who are more often, the subjects of oppression and exploitation. And, those experiences can be useful in guiding our own sense of ourselves and our place. And to me, it's kind of just, why would you engage in any other form of history? I think where it becomes interesting is where those accounts, the ways in which those accounts are shaped, by whom, who gets to speak about particular things, and what, if any, are the necessary political commitments that come with wanting to tell those stories. And I think they do require a certain kind of political commitment to really resonate and to have to be expressive of certain kind of authority that makes them useful. But it's an ongoing conversation, and to some extent, it's about allowing the multitudes to speak. And in a very concrete sense, well, in terms of media, these are democratising forces, and critical scholarship is an essential part of that. And also, history, I think, is just fascinating. There's just so many wonderful stories that are not just of use politically or analytically, I suppose, in terms of arriving at a fresh or a radical understanding of oneself and one's place in society and in a collective sense as well, but are just really, affecting, stirring a whole range of different levels. And, of course, those are things to be celebrated as well. And, yeah, that's what I find of interest. And also there's just so much. And, yeah, I urge everyone to, read and study and contribute and be critical.
Now, Andy, I've got a couple of cheeky ones here.
Oh, yeah.
I guess if you're going to have the king of Melbourne anarchism, you're also going to have a few jesters, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Someone wants to ask about the fashion and aesthetics of 90s anti-fascist movements in Australia, and how can we learn from them?
Well, it would be, it is recognised, I think, globally as a pinnacle. I mean, I guess, I might have made some contribution at that time. So, look and learn, really, is all I can say.
Do you know what a Cyrex is or a C-Rex?
I think they're a kind of cat, aren't they?
And a Maine Coon?
Yes, another kind of cat.
If you could have one of those as a pet, which would you prefer?
I'd say ACAB to begin with, obviously.
All cats are beautiful.
Exactly. But in thinking about it, I mean, the Maine Coon, big, that's good. However, also quite furry. And I suppose if I lived in a colder climate, maybe, I'd think about I'd think about it in terms not just of myself, but what would be best for my cat. And in that circumstance, the Cyrex might be more appropriate. But, if I ever had the opportunity, I'd love them both equally.
There you go.
What about you, Cam?
I might go for the Cyrex. It's cute.
Okay.
Someone asks if you will date them.
Maybe.
Depends on what era they're from, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, if I read their socials, I could probably, have a guess.
Someone asks for a photo of your cat.
I would love to share a photo of my cat.
Hold that up to the microphone.
I will. There she is.
And
she's a darling.
That's about all of the questions we received, Andy.
Oh, really?
I would say I received more retweets and faves on my request for questions than I did questions.
Do people even read tweets these days?
I guess just for future reference, it's not terribly helpful. I appreciate the dopamine rush of getting a fave, but it is somewhat undone by wanting something else. Yeah, so I guess my question for you, Andy, is have you been reading anything interesting lately? Because I know you're a bit of a reader.
Yeah, I've been reading a few things, but kind of, I guess the most recent was Michael Warner's book, The Boys Club, which is all about the AFL, and I thought it was quite good. It's a survey of the last 20 to 30 years of AFL history and an exploration of the author argues the corrosive effects on Australian rules football of the increasing corporatisation of the game and political authority being increasingly concentrated in the executive. Yeah, but I have also, and I'm thinking about writing something about Peter Temple's books, the Jack Irish series, which are great. I really like.
There you have it. I've just been reading books by people we're going to be interviewing soon, so no spoilers.
Who are we going to be talking to, Cam?
We are talking to... no spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers. Okay.
No spoilers.
Right. Interesting people.
Yeah, very interesting people.
Excellent. All right.
Well, Andy, that's all we've got time for.
Okay, thanks for listening, listener.
And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Global Intifada is up next. See ya.
Bye-bye.
line. Gotta put in before half time. Oh! Yes! Running twos, running threes. Kick long with the brace. Play in front, punch from behind. Everybody's got a man to mind. Oh! Yes! Drop the shoulder, elbow and notch. If in trouble, go over the top. Don't drop kick on a wet day. If you can't knock, you better not play. Oh! Going hard, you play it fair. Grease your legs, you change your hair. Don't hand pass in the back line. You gotta put in before half time.
"20 Years on the Inside" is an iconic new podcast series that gives voice to the experience of First Nations people in the Victorian prison system.
20 Years on the Inside. I'm Vicky Roach.
And I'm Kutcher Edwards. This series reflects on 20 years of listening to our mobs on the inside as part of the Beyond the Bars prison broadcasts.
20 Years on the Inside is essential listening for anyone looking to educate themselves about the realities of life on the inside and the need to end Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander incarceration.
Well, a lot of the boys mentioned about being in jail. What you do really isn't who you are. You know, it's how you love your family, it's how you care about your cousins, and it's how you care about your people. That's what this is about for me.
Catch the podcast via the 3CR website or on your favourite podcast app.